As someone who does a lot of equipment reviews, a lot of times I get myself all hyped up about this new machine, and then after using it, I realize there's a lot of drawbacks and it's not as great as I thought it might be. This is the exact opposite. I am absolutely blown away by what this machine does, and it just changes how I think about firewood. And the amount of firewood I can process and how quickly I can do it is on another level. So hats off to Eastonmade on a fantastic product. Hey, it's Brock here with Rock Hill Farm, and today we are going to do an overview on my new Eastonmade 1222. We're also going to rearrange the Woodyard to optimize the workflow because this machine will be used in a different way than my other splitters have been. Now, if you follow the channel, you've already heard the story of what happened with this splitter. When it was being delivered, I had someone else unloading it for me. It got dropped from about chest height, landed sideways, bounced and rolled into a ditch upside down, and then got actually flipped upside down and dropped again and really brutalized. So I've got a couple things I need to try to straighten out with it first. And then we're going to split with it for the first time. So let's start there. I say split with it for the first time, but I did start it up yesterday and run a few pieces of wood through it. This thing held up remarkably well to being dropped on its head twice. And you can see where it got scuffed up, but this is, 4-inch wide tubing that, it's not going to be damaged. Even though I dropped a 2,500 pound log splitter, it didn't really hurt it. Very, very minimal damage. Now, whenever I started it for the first time, all I did was let it sit for about 72 hours and then cranked it over. It started up, smoked for just a minute, and then quit. The hydraulic cooler took a little bit of abuse, but everything on this is working. The only thing that I had to do really was take these levers off and straighten them where they got bent. And what we need to do right now is try to straighten the log lift. Now, this log lift is not attached to the cylinder. The way it works is basically this thing free swings and it rides on this, which kind of protected it because this thing, it landed on this and bent it pretty good, but none of the important mechanism down there is damaged. Now, if you look at the way this is built, it's got these long runs on it that reinforce it, and there's no way you're going to bend this section. But this section down here is not reinforced because it's not holding the weight normally. And this right now should be angled out like this. So right now we're going to see if we can straighten that back out. And I had a bunch of suggestions on the best way to do that. And I don't have a press or anything, so I'm going to try straightening it where it's at. Now, I've put this block of wood under the center of it so that we're not putting any pressure against the cylinder or anything else. And I'm just going to push down on this really hard and see if we can straighten it that way. Okay, that looks like it did the job. That thing is pretty well straightened out. It's not going to be any problem to get wood loaded on it. So before we fire this up, I want to talk about my workflow, the splitters I've been using, and why I felt like I needed to upgrade to this splitter. So to begin with, I've got the vertical splitter, which has its advantages. I really like using a vertical splitter because it gives you precise control of the size of your pieces. It's great for resplitting. It's comfortable to use. But I split most of my wood on the horizontal splitter, and this is an awesome splitter. This is the Eastonmade Ultra. And this exact splitter is for sale on the Eastonmade website. When someone buys it, they're going to pick it up here and deliver it to you. I think if the majority of the wood you're splitting is less than 2 foot diameter, this is going to be a great splitter for you. For me, I'm often doing really big rounds, and if you set a big round up here and you split it in half, or if you have the four-way splitter, the four-way wedge, and you split it in 4 pieces, the pieces you're left with are still really big and heavy. So I'm finding myself always dealing with those large pieces, and I'm setting them back over on my log deck. And that's the problem that I wanted to solve with the new splitter. So when it comes to commercial splitters, where you're really going to spend your money is on the hydraulic capabilities and the extra hydraulic functions. This has a giant 24-gallon hydraulic fluid reservoir, and then it's got this independent hydraulic cooler. So even if you run this thing all day long, it's never going to overheat on you because you've got so much capacity and the cooling unit. Now, obviously, you have a giant cylinder here. I mean, that is, when you compare that to the cylinder on a homeowner splitter, it's just crazy to look at the size of that. You've got that giant push plate, and then you've got this really large holding area. And my favorite thing about this is when you load this log lift up and you raise it up and start rolling rounds onto it, once a round gets into this loading area, you'll never have to pull the pieces back out of it. You'll see what I mean when I run it. So let's talk about the functionality of the controls here. This is the log lift up and down. This is the wedge up and down. So you can raise and lower your wedge with that control to determine how you're splitting. And then this has full auto cycle. So you've got your split lever here and your retract lever there, and you can run those manually, like a little forward, a little back if you need to. But really, once the wood's in there, you just pop both levers. It will go all the way down, and then this one will kick off, then it will come all the way back, and this will kick off. And what that means is you can hit both levers and go get your next piece of wood and start loading the log lift if you need to. And by the time you turn back around, it will be done and ready for the next piece of wood. That's a huge time saver. And I really just can't stress enough how excited I am that I will not be lifting those big 50-pound chunks of wood off here to handle them again. So this has a 14 horsepower Vanguard engine. It's got an electric start. Just put your choke on and turn the key, which we'll do in just a minute. It is towable forward or in reverse because you just pop the hitch off to get it out of your way. And then if you want to transport, you can put the hitch on the front or the back. They recommend you don't tow it above 50 miles an hour, although I've seen plenty of people who said they have towed it faster than that. That's a good, safe recommendation. So the way this works is, if you're going to tow it, you pull this pin out right here, and then it hooks in right there, and then you can lift your leg up. Of course, I'm not going to do that right now because it's not supported in the front. In the previous video, I made a big deal about how heavy built this thing is. You know, I dropped it from waist height, or we dropped it. We're a team here, and it didn't hurt it at all. Build quality is insane. There are several different wedge options you can get. I've got it with this box wedge right now, and this box wedge is what I wanted it for, and it's what I think I'm going to use it with most of the time. But time will tell how that actually works out. But I think it's a really clever design the way this works. Is that this right here draws your round back for the second split. And because this is hydraulically adjustable, this has to follow it. So this is all on a pivot. It pivots right there. That lifts up so that this lifts and it follows the height of your wedge. But I've also got a four-way wedge right here. So if you're switching to the four-way wedge, you pull a pin right here, then this slides out, you lift your other wedge out and drop the four-way in, and you no longer have the return, but the four-way gives you control of your split size. The box wedge is better for your big rounds, and if you're doing smaller material, you might want to switch to your four-way. So in the past, the way this worked is I brought logs in and set them right here, cut them into rounds on the table, and loaded those rounds right onto the splitter. And then I had my basket sitting here, and I loaded the wood from the splitter into the basket. I'm going to continue using the log deck, but the log deck is for smaller diameter logs at this point. If I'm doing small wood, I'll probably put the vertical splitter right here, set my smaller logs on here, split those, and that will be how I process those, because I don't think a log lift does you any good really on small wood. And I'm going to be doing all the bigger material on the 1222. So the way that process will work is I'll cut my rounds up and then just push them over to the splitter and load my log deck that way. I think that's going to be a much faster way to handle wood. So we got the fuel on, we got it choked. That's a rough start, still smells like it's burning oil. Little bit of smoke. It was upside down for 45 minutes and had all that oil was running down through the air filter. It's a little bit hard on it, but just running it, once it's drained back down, just running it should resolve it, I think. Raise that lift a little bit. You need to make bigger pieces. I tell you what, as a guy who reviews equipment all the time, A lot of times you build yourself up hype around a product and you think this and this are going to be this amazing upgrades, and then you actually use it and it lets you down. This is the exact opposite. I kind of had this expectation that as bad as I wanted this, I was going to be disappointed, and it just blew me out of the water. That auto cycle is just amazing. I mean, you hit this, and the amount of time it takes to cycle and back is exactly the amount of time it takes to go get around. So you go, and it takes about 4 trips to split that big round. So I hit it, lower the lift, hit it again, roll the log over, hit it again, set the log on, hit it again, raise the lift up and roll it on. It's unbelievable. I just cut up 2 logs that were big diameter. I don't know what those were, 20, 22, 24 inch. They were big, and at least 20 inch. And it was so effortless. The most time-consuming part will be picking this wood up. So if I could get my hands on a conveyor somewhere to run this up and just drop it into the totes, I mean, splitting firewood would all of a sudden just become some quick and easy thing. It's remarkable. It's not often that I'm blown away, and right now I'm blown away. I've sung the praises of the vertical splitters. They have their advantages. They're really cool. But man, nothing compares to this. This thing just blows through wood like it's nothing. I could not possibly be more impressed right now. I love it. I'm going to be making a lot more firewood this year, and this machine is the reason why. So I want to say thank you to Andrew from Eastonmade for sending this out for me to make videos about. And thank you guys for taking time to watch the video. I'll put links on the screen to a couple more of our videos, and I'll see you next time.